getting more reviews, having them say what the review within the review of what services are getting your technicians involved. And so whether you use a third party solution like us, or you do it internally with emails and text messaging and getting your team around this, it's extremely important to be on top of it because reviews are now more important than ever because of the generative AI that's happening right now.
Chad Peterman here, and you are listening to Can't Stop the Growth, a platform for leaders and teams to grow and thrive. We highlight the importance of personal development, pursuing greatness, and always chasing your potential. Let's get into it. Hello, and welcome to another episode of Can't Stop the Growth. I'm your host, Chad Peterman, and today I have a very special guest on the podcast. Online reviews and reputation are critical in today's digital world. Our guest and his company have been instrumental in helping us here at Peterman Brothers manage this key business driver. I'm extremely excited to welcome Mark Spencer with Customer Fusion to the podcast. Welcome, Mark.
Hey, how are you doing?
Doing well. Excited to have you on here. I am guilty of telling everybody that I can about what you guys offer because I think it's so important. And also, you guys have just done a heck of a job for us here and how we manage our reputation and online reviews and stuff like that, which I think is something we can help a lot of listeners out with a lot of insight and things they should be thinking about. So I guess before we get started, maybe give listeners a little bit of kind of your background and the company and different things of that nature.
Yeah, so I'm Mark Spencer. I'm with Consumer Fusion. How we got started, my background, I played basketball in high school and college, went through college to become a dentist. My stepdad's a dentist, and I decided not to go into the dental space. So got out of that and got into reputation management. So over about 12 years ago, I met my girlfriend. And at that time, she had been cyberbullied in high school. And back in the MySpace days, she was cyberbullied heavily. And she figured out how to address some of the negative stuff that was on the MySpace platform. Fast forward, I was dating her, and her name is Bryn Gibbs, and she's the founder and CEO of Consumer Fusion. And my stepdad had an office manager that was a pill popper. After we had to fire her, she went online and wrote a bunch of negative content on how he doesn't pay his employees. And she got all of her friends to write a bunch of negative stuff about him online. Well, Bryn looked into the terms and conditions of Google, and one of those terms and conditions is you cannot write negative content about your employer, whether they're present or a past employer. So she was able to get a lot of the negative content down, but between those 2 points, my stepdad lost about 25% of his revenue. And this is right when reviews were starting to come around. So we scratched our own itch and understood how important reputation and reviews are, especially on the negative side of things. And so we were heavily in the dental space for up until 2017, and we sold out the dental division in 2017, and we focused on home services, franchising. So our platform was built for multi-location, multi-provider, and that aligned perfectly with the home services, and especially with your growth, adding more and more locations. And so we got heavily in the franchise and home service space along with healthcare, but our emphasis is heavily on franchising in and out of home services and then outside of franchising with home services.
One of the things I want you to talk about, because I think this has been huge for us, and I think it's something that some people miss. I hear a lot of people talk, drive online reviews. What would you say is the difference, or what's the importance of, and I think you mentioned it there, is the reputation management?
And reputation management, it's almost like we have to re-educate what reputation management and the definition of it is. Here at Consumer Fusion, we look at it as a three-prong approach. A lot of reputation management solutions are strictly just software, which is, let me integrate with all of the software systems like the Service Titans and the House Call Pros and send out a review request, text, email. That is the offense, is what we call it. And then we call the defense negative review removal, which is the second prong of reputation management. And really defending and protecting the brand is very important. And helping remove illegitimate reviews that do violate those terms and conditions. And then the third prong on this stool is the review responses. And we could talk and dive more into the review responses, but it's very important to respond to all of your reviews, both negative and positive. And then also making sure you put in the keywords in the city and state as you put in that response. So if it's, hey, Chad, thank you so much for using Peterman Brothers HVAC. We pride ourselves on being the best HVAC company in Greenwood, Indiana. Thank you for those kind words. So putting keywords in those responses, review generation, and then helping remove negative illegitimate reviews is really the three-prong approach that Consumer Fusion takes. But out there and re-educating, a lot of those software systems that are in reputation management just focus strictly on two of those three. So the third part is the negative review removal, and that's 100% not software. It is a manual process.
Yeah, so I think that was one of the things that I remember first signing up with you guys, and our marketing IT team was like, holy crap, they just got all of these reviews removed that we had never like touched because you just didn't know the rules, right? I think that was the biggest thing. You just didn't know the rules. And so we're like, well, we can't do anything about it. I guess we'll put a response on there and say, hey, well, give us a call. We'd love to take care of you or fix whatever issue there was. But tell me a little bit about that third prong, as you call it, and maybe why so many people don't understand what kind of rights you have.
We're a sitting duck as a business owners. They can write anything. It's a wild, wild west out there. And so we're here to ring that in. Google, Yelp, Facebook, and then their Angie's home advisors that are more industry specific. They don't have the manpower to police the wild, wild west, so to speak. And so our specialty is really holding those reviews accountable to those terms and conditions. So like us, we do not like to work with businesses that are 3.5, 3 stars because they don't care and their customer service is clearly down. We like to work with business owners and home services companies that are over 4.5 stars that want to get to the 4.9s, and they really care. So we can't remove all negative reviews. We only can remove the negative reviews that violate the terms and conditions. But you said it, Chad, is responding in a timely manner is important because we just don't push a button to remove it. You want to have an owner's response on that negative review up as quickly as possible. So that way a potential client that comes across your reviews, they see that, hey, you really care, you're trying to make it right. So getting a response up immediately is extremely important, while us or you can try to dispute and remove those negatives. And it's a manual aspect. Let's just talk with Google. You have to flag the review. You have to wait a few days. Then you have to talk to a moderator. They're all outsourced in India. And then you let them know and you pick out the idiosyncrasies of why it violates. Sometimes they deny it because it's a manual aspect. Sometimes they escalate it and it gets removed. We've been doing this for over 10 years. We've removed just under 200,000 negative reviews, photos, and questions across the review sites. Our average dispute is 3 to 5 times, which can take, sometimes 1 to 3 months sometimes. And so that's why it's truly important, Chad, that like you already have in place is responding to those reviews while we're in the process of removing them. We have a record of 27 disputes. And then on the 28th time, 9 months later, it finally came down. So we're very relentless. We don't give up on the first, no, I'm not going to do it. And companies like you have a marketing team, right? But they don't have the time to continue to follow up. And usually when they get that no, that means, okay, now we just got to rely on our response or reaching out to try to rectify it. But once again, we like working with you because you truly care and you reach out, because if we can't remove it, it's a firsthand experience. And then what happens is you reach out to them and you try to rectify the situation. And when they might be able to update it or remove it altogether, but then more importantly, you're retaining that person as a customer and a repeat customer. So we like to work intimately. We take it very seriously. We don't want to be just a vendor. Like you mentioned, we want to be a partner and an extension of your digital marketing team. But not everyone has a marketing team. Sometimes it's the small mom and pop shops that they're driving down the road, answering our calls. Hey, I need help with this. And so we try to be an extension of the team, whether you're an SMB, one location with one technician, or you might be that technician all the way up to privately backed billion-dollar companies.
No, I think that's good for people to know that there is a means of disputing that. However, to your point, having a professional do that is probably in your best bet. One of the things that I think you're probably extremely kind of in the know to talk about is, and we said it at the beginning, is driving more positive reviews. What are some of those things that you're seeing out there with your most successful customers? What are they doing to get more positive reviews? Like, what are the things, and maybe even start with like, what are the things that you mentioned it, like, okay, you got this fandangled software that does this or that, but what are the like basics, like the blocking and tackling of getting reviews? What are those things that you're seeing out there that are being successful?
I think you could have automation, but I think getting your team involved around getting review generation. So as your technicians are out there, they know that there might be an automation kicking in to send their client a text and email how that experience was. What I would recommend, and I see it a lot across a lot of the brands that you're very familiar with, is getting the technicians involved and having a leaderboard and seeing how many reviews you're getting and incentivizing those. Because if they know that they're providing 5-star service, they're going to ask for it. And in return, they're going to get a positive review. So that software can send it out, but getting your technicians involved, the boots on the ground to say, hey, Mrs. Jones, it's been a pleasure servicing you. Within the next few hours, you're going to get a text or an email on the feedback on how we did. If you can, please put my name in. That would be great. That helps me out. I really appreciate it. So when you verbally ask, when the text or the email comes through, and then having a technician involved, we see a lot of the times that internally business owners spiff out the technicians if their name is mentioned within the review itself. So I think it's just a verbal. And then if you buy into that, then of course, if your technicians are providing that 5-star service, knowing that they're going to get asked, it definitely helps the positioning of getting more and more positive reviews.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I know. We have a program called our 5-star tech program, which every technician there's certain criteria that you have to hit. And one of those is, not only get a review, but you have to be mentioned by name. And then that ensures more than not that the technician talked to them and told them to mention me by name, which effectively got them to talk about leaving a review. So it's kind of leading the witness there, if you will.
And just so we're crystal clear, you don't want to incentivize your customers to write reviews. That's against the policies, terms and conditions. So I want to make that crystal clear. So I really focus on the internal. They're going to write a review if you provide them great service. You don't have to pay them or whatever, or give them a discount off of the ticket in order to get the review. But I think embracing your technicians and really having that. So that's a great promotion that you do have internally. And I recommend it for everybody, because if your technicians are bought into it, that leads to more deals. That leads to more work for these technicians. So it's an all encompassing program.
I think I hear this all the time, and you may have some additional insight into it, is, we know reviews are powerful, but I think people think that they're powerful just because, singularly, like, well, if someone looks up my company and they see that I'm a 4.9 out of 5, well, then they may call me and not somebody else. Do you have any insight into what else reviews can affect? Like, I've heard of it may affect your LSA. I've heard different things like that. Like, from your perspective, why else are reviews important outside of just someone seeing your profile?
Well, search is changing. People are asking, not a plumber near me, they're asking, I need help with a clog. I need someone out here immediately. So it's more conversational versus just general. So generative AI is very important. And part of that generative AI that's going to pop up your company within that search is the number of reviews in your star ranking. So it's very important. What also pulls into that is in that review response to that review, putting those keywords in those will also help that search as well. So it's a combination of everything, include with LSA, but with organic on Google Business Profile. Google loves more reviews. They love you engaging with the reviews, and those come up with about 34% of your overall ranking in that local map pack section. So it's really important to drive more reviews that are new, right? So you're always pushing for that review responses. And then, of course, the end consumer, they don't look at all your 5-star reviews. And I was actually talking with Chris Yano in his office, and he's like, dude, Mark, they don't look at just the positive. They actually go to the negatives and see how you responded to them. Because everyone can get 5-star reviews. And we've heard a lot of negative stuff about people paying for more reviews. All that's bogus. The goal is you want to make sure that you're addressing the negative reviews as well with responses.
No, I think that's good for people to understand of, like, the more you get, like, yeah, you're 5-star, that's great, but you're 5-star on 12 reviews. keep pushing more because it's going to influence more than just people seeing if you're 4.5 or whatever it is.
And in home services, and you're very familiar with this, and you have a huge volume of reviews. I mean, that's not going to get you anywhere. You need to continually get more and more reviews because the competition out there is doing something. They're proactive, they're using solutions, and it's important to continually get more positive reviews because last thing you do is like, oh, most recent review, and you didn't get a review or a 5-star review in 2 or 3 months. They're probably going to go to a competition similar as you that's always getting reviews on a daily basis.
One of the things that I guess I'm curious about, and I don't know if you have insight into this, but it's in the review space, is like these apps like Nextdoor. It reminds me of kind of like Yelp. What's your kind of take on like these things, like I guess Nextdoor particularly, because it's one that kind of baffles me.
Yeah, Nextdoor is it's almost like people, hey, I need help. Someone's slandering me on Nextdoor. It's like social media. You can't stop someone from slandering. You might have to step in, engage, and diffuse the conflict. Yelp is a whole different animal. It is, I guess, by state or by region of what's more important. The reason why we address Yelp, we cannot do review generation in Yelp because Yelp frowns upon you asking for anything. We recommend checking offers, but we can play the defense. But Yelp crawls over to Yahoo, Bing, Apple Maps, MapQuest. So how we address it is hitting it head on for the defense portion of it. So there's a lot of different avenues with Yelp, but going back to Nextdoor, it's more of I feel like it's a social platform where people can bitch and complain about it. And so I recommend if you are the business owner and you're in that region, step in and saying, hey, this is, trying to rectify the situation as almost like a business owner's response when you engage in Nextdoor.
Yeah, I think that's kind of the tough part, right? We've had conversations here about like, you know, how do you step in and, provide value? Is it, providing information, providing, hey, I got a problem. Well, did you check this? Check your breaker, check your filter, like being useful. But yeah, it is an interesting platform. What I guess maybe let's dive in a little bit more to like your guys' product, mainly because I rave about it all the time and it's great. Kind of maybe outline for the customer, like, because to me it was very easy to get set up, very easy to interact with. Like, kind of walk the walk the potential customer, the listener now, through kind of what that looks like on your side. Like, what's the interaction look like for them?
And the great thing about us is we're not like a one size fits all because for the most part, when we engage with a home service brand, they might already have some form of review generation solution. I know there's a lot of CRM systems and, you got your big service titans and house call pros that have a bolt-on pro package. So we usually like to step in and play the defense because for the most part, there's not much competition out there that does it at scale like we do in regards to helping with negative reviews. And so how our solution works is, yeah, of course, we would like to be part of the offense, defense, and the special teams, but usually brands come on with the special teams and the defense because a lot of our responses on Google and Facebook respond with those keywords. They respond within 12 to 24 hours. It's automated. It pulls out the keywords. So we have smart review responses that respond like anybody, like a business owner would. And then, of course, addressing the negative. So we can provide an all-in-one solution with the review generation, and we integrate with all the major practice the software systems out there. We also have manual aspects of it in regards to if it's a touchy subject in home services, like fire damage, fire restoration. Sometimes they don't want to automate that and send a review request to someone's house that just burnt down. So we do have manual solutions for review generation. So we play nicely in the sandbox with a lot of software systems that are in reputation management. But yeah, we do specialize in sending out text and email requests. We have leaderboards built on our platform. We have review listening so that it listens to the technicians if it's being sent within the review. We also have review listening for operational. So a lot of the times people want to know what's being said across all the reviews on all the platforms. And so we pull all of that data in and we can build out categories of what you want to listen to. Is it cost? Is it not showing up? Is it quotes? Is it never showing up? Is it too expensive? So we can build out operationally what you want to listen to and what might you can do to change internally to help rectify the situation and change that around. So We do have a lot of little bolt-ons that we can provide, but once again, we can customize it based off of already solutions that you're contracted through. And usually we can bolt on and assist, but usually after someone bolt-ons for the defense, sometimes we continue to use those services. One other thing that's been a big Achilles heel for home services and service areas is Google verifications for Google business profile pages. It is a complete headache. I just got off the phone today with a third party syndication company. We do listing management as well. And Google over 6 months ago had their top companies that they work with that could do verifications without doing video verifications. What happens is too many hands got in the cookie jar and they cut it off completely. So now it is a white glove listing solution. Now, when people want to have their listings, you have to do video verifications if you're doing service areas, if you want to hide your addresses. So we're seeing a lot of an influx of brands that are coming on board to get that white glove listing management solution because of these verifications becoming unverified, or they change the hours of operation and then it comes unverified again. So I'm sure you've heard through the grapevine that this is being a major Achilles heel for a lot of maybe small mom and pop shops that don't have the resources, that have their home as their home address and then trying to switch it to a service area and hiding the address for security purposes so it doesn't show their house. Those are a lot of things that we're running to in home services right now, is the listing issues.
Yeah, if you're small out there, hurry up and do it now. It's a hell of a lot easier than when you're at scale. That is for sure.
Just have your business license, be ready to answer the phone, have all your ducks in a row. We have video content around to help business owners get verified.
So I think that's an interesting place to dive into too. You mentioned the business listing, the kind of the GMB, if you will. Talk a little bit more about that, because I think that's something that sometimes outside of, like, everybody knows reviews are important. Reviews are part of your GMB. That's great. It's fantastic. Tell us a little bit more about kind of the importance of that GMB and what people should be focused in on.
It's free, right? So enhancing your Google business profile page is very important, and being on top of it. First, you want to be verified. You want to make sure that your name, address, phone number aligns with what's on your website. So if you're 24/7, just so you know, if you mark it 24/7 on your Google will check if you answer the phone after 24/7. If not, then guess what? We're in a re-verification mode again. So make sure your business hours are lined up with your website, and make sure not only on Google, but it's consistent across all of the other syndications like Bing and Yahoo, all those major directory sites. And so with that, also, she mentioned pictures, adding new content to those pictures on a weekly basis, building a story around that. Because when they come across your business listing and all you see is a profile of a home and there's one guy, that's not going to get you anywhere. It's building a story that, hey, I feel warm and welcome that the Peterman brothers are coming to me because, man, here's a picture of the before and after. This is what they do. Look at their clean cut. They have nice trucks. They have good equipment. I know they're going to help me out. And then they're personable as well. Look at it's a family owned company. So that's telling the story through pictures. So always updating your photos. And then also when you update the photos in Google Business Profile, making sure you're tagging those photos with keywords or services that you provide, and not just upload them as a JPEG 123. So those are some things that I recommend in regards to the Google Business Profile pages. Always push it. Then just so you know, you can also take your social handles and sync them into your business profile page, and they will live. Any social content that you do post will live underneath the description, hours of operation, website, call, directions, all that. It will live there. So just really getting into your Google Business Profile, playing around with it in an evening after you're done working, I highly recommend get in there, navigate more, because there's a lot of different solutions that you can provide to really build that story to make sure they choose you over your competition because of the friendliness through the pictures, the reviews, the responses, and the amount of reviews that you're getting as well.
Yeah, I think that's an important point that some may overlook is kind of the building of the story. To me, I think about that a lot, even as we respond to reviews or build out our profiles and different stuff like that. And tell us a little bit more about like that story concept and what you try to get customers to understand as it relates to responding to reviews, GMB, kind of connecting the whole thing.
Well, the story can be told. There's a lot of different ways to tell a story, but our specialty in telling the story within listings is I always take, everyone's in the trenches and, oh, I'm home services. I know I'm clean cut, but no one knows that. And for me, I'm married. If I'm at work and she's at home and we're having issues, like we had a leak, right? I didn't know a roofing company. What did I do? I went to Google Business Profile page. I saw who was the clean cut, family owned, to where I feel comfortable because I'm here. She's there personally. You guys are home services. You're going into the home and making sure that you're telling that story to where I would feel comfortable having them come into my 80-year-old, grandma's house to not take advantage of them. I think it's very important to build that story and through pictures, through video content. You can always upload videos, having your technicians record videos, even within the review request. You can also do biographies around the technician to really tell that story. So I think it's very important to tell that story from start to finish, from the journey of when they find you on your website, relates to a lot of stuff on your Google Business Profile page. And those pictures tell 1,000 words, well over reviews, is very important. So pretend that they're walking into your grandma's house, your mom's house, your house if you're not there with your wife and your kids. Make sure that you go through your Google Business Profile page and truly look at the pictures and would you actually pick up the phone and call? And then look at your competition and seeing what they're doing. And you'll see they might be telling a better story than you are. So highly recommend video content as well. And also getting video content from your technicians that are out on the roads and in the houses.
One of the things I thought about when you were talking, you mentioned a roofing company, that you're working with all kinds of different home services. Is there anything that, from what services you guys provide, that if I'm in a certain industry, I should be thinking about things, not entirely differently, but maybe just a little bit differently? Or, hey, if you're a roofer as opposed to a plumber, as opposed to a carpet cleaner, or are there any differences between kind of trades that you guys have seen as far as review generation, being able to do it? Anything of that nature?
Sometimes I know there's subscriptions that are going out with you guys, but usually like pool services and pest control, they don't get an abundance of new, fresh reviews because they have their database, they have their usuals. And so I see that there's a little bit of drop off for more and more reviews for those industries. But that's why it's impactful of one negative review can impact that type of industry a lot more than someone that has 25,000 reviews because you guys are servicing X, Y, and 300 trucks and whatever it may be. So I think the impact of reviews actually hurt more of like the pool companies and the pest control because they're more monthly recurring services as opposed to the everyday. So once again, for our services, we encompass it all, because of understanding the importance of negatives that can impact a lower volume of reviews for those types of industries of pest control and pool companies versus the HVACs, the plumbers, electricians, to where they're getting net new ability to get more reviews. So it impacts it, but at the same time, we cover it because we play the three-prong approach.
Yeah, that's interesting. I wonder if another piece of it may be that, pest control, they come inside the house, but they can also spray outside. Like if you're not coming in contact with the customer, it may come back to the fact that, hey, the technician wasn't, if you're cleaning your pool, probably just leave the gate unlocked and you just go back there and you do your pool thing and then you leave and you never talk to the customer. I guess, have you seen certain customers that are maybe in those two specific things, anything that they're doing to, like, a customer who's like, oh, they're really knocking it out of the park over here, even in an industry where we don't see a ton of traction with reviews?
Yeah, we don't go after too many pool services, but with pest control and rodent control, they usually come within the house. They go in the attic, they get in every crevice. So it's a little bit more personable, but we don't, let's just say, proactively go after pool companies, so to speak. We do have large franchise brands that have it in their portfolio that we do help. But once again, it is important to, protect the brand at the macro as well. So
if you had like a soapbox to stand on, obviously you guys do this day in and day out. What is that soapbox message that you would give to listeners that, just on the importance of not only what your service can help with, but how it can benefit their business as a whole?
Whether you use a service like us or you do it yourself, you definitely need, especially with generative AI, everyone's hearing all this AI stuff. Gemini and Google is getting big. We've been going to Google Campus last year. We listened to a Google this year about a month ago. Generative AI is where it's at. And if you're not on that bandwagon as a business owner, you're kind of left in the dust. So it's very important to make sure you align with reputation management, getting more reviews, having them say what the review within the review of what services are getting your technicians involved. And so whether you use a third party solution like us, or you do it internally with emails and text messaging and getting your team around this, it's extremely important to be on top of it because reviews are now more important than ever because of the generative AI that's happening right now.
Yeah, explain more about why generative AI is so important. Like how does that connect to the review piece?
Because of the fact that people are now more conversational versus just a plumber. So when Google scours what's being said, they're looking at your reviews and the relevance and how new that review is. So that's why it's important for us, and our review responses are pulling in those keywords of what people are typing in when they're looking for it. So making sure, once again, putting in the keywords as a conversational piece when you're responding to the reviews is extremely important. It's starting to pick up more and more, and Google is king. In home services, we ask, what review site do you go to over all of them? Yelp, and Google is by far the farthest. It's almost 70% of search is going in home services going to Google, not Yelp. And so it's important to make sure you get a stronghold on your reviews in regards to getting more reviews, making sure they're thorough long reviews in regards to the keywords that are in there, and then responding to the reviews is extremely important as well. So it's starting to pick up, but yeah, Gemini has been doing it for years, but now it's getting way more customer facing along with more conversational. And so it's interesting. It's continuing to evolve. But once again, they've been doing this for quite some time, but now the searches are definitely changing.
Google's ability with AI to produce the right results for whoever's searching is getting better and better and better. So we need to do everything we can to produce content, reviews being content that is applicable to what we want the customer to find.
For you got marketing teams and digital marketing agencies, and people have more resources. But for the small mom and pops, I guess the best thing to do is get more Google reviews, get your team behind those reviews, make sure you respond to those reviews in a timely manner. And then if there are negative reviews, make sure you try to reach out and rectify it with the customer. And if it's an ex-employee, whatever it may be, you can dispute and push with Google to try to get them down. But for the small mom and pops out there, I highly recommend just get on the bandwagon and get something in place to generate more reviews and make sure you respond with keywords and then address the negatives. And then update your Google business profile page on a weekly basis if you can.
Yeah, I think those are all super, super important things, especially as you're smaller and it's easier to communicate with your team. I think a couple of things that I've learned in battling this for however many years I've been doing this thing is, to your point, one, you got to have a scoreboard of some sort. And whether that is a contest for generating reviews or, at least where people know that they stand. One of the things we've done is integrated it into kind of our performance KPIs, like kind of here's what we kind of expect, and reviews is a piece of that. We don't expect you to get a review on every job, but here's where we've seen people, on a, review opportunity where no one, it's a new customer or whatever it may be. Here's what you should do. And then I think the other piece of it is really taking some time to craft your message on why it's important for your technicians to generate reviews. And a lot of that can be wrapped around, hey, just like we've talked about on this, like you guys go buy stuff too. How would you buy it? Would you buy it from the person with 10 reviews or the person with 1,000? I mean, everyone shopped on Amazon. I mean, I bought so many damn products on Amazon because, well, that one has 14,000 reviews and that one has 14. Well, okay, that means that 14,000 people, I don't know how many people bought the 14, but they sure as hell didn't leave a review. So, and this product is highly rated. So I'm going to go with that one over the one that's not reviewed at all. But, that's going to generate more work for the business and more opportunity for your technicians and all of those things.
You're doing it right when you get call-ins and they say, "Hey, I read a review and I want Tyler to come to my house." And so when you start, if that's starting to happen, then the customer's already sold. But then guess what? Tyler, he might be on a commission structure. That's going to benefit him. But at the end of the day, more reviews, more 5-star reviews is a direct correlation to more revenue for the company.
Yeah, absolutely. It benefits everybody. It takes a little bit of effort, but at the end of the day, you should, and as I always say, getting a review is the ultimate validation of the level of service that you provided. If they're willing to go out and take a few minutes out of their time in busy day to leave you a review, that's a good thing.
And Gary Vee said it perfectly. He's like, reputation is the ultimate currency. I mean, if your reputation's not up to par, the currency is going to go down. So it's very important to make sure it's the digital front door of your business, right? And it's the word of mouth online now. So it's extremely important to hit it head on.
Well, Mark, I can't thank you enough. There's so much good information in here that I think any business owner, home services or otherwise, can take back and start implementing some of these, simple strategies. Obviously, there'll be a link in the show notes if you want to go to utilize Consumer Fusion. I am a huge fan, as I've said many times on here. They've done a phenomenal job for us. They are definitely one of our partners that we lean on to get this piece of our house kind of in order and make sure it stays in order, especially as we open up new locations and different stuff like that, making sure that, hey, we're going to a new location, we got all this stuff set up, it's ready to roll, and we're promoting reviews. So can't thank you enough for your time. I'm 100% confident that you guys will do a fantastic job for anybody. And to our listeners out there, again, thanks for tuning in to another episode. Be sure, if you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to subscribe. Make sure to, this episode of all, make sure to leave us a review. All right. I've got to ask. I can't tell people to ask and not ask. So make sure to leave us a review. Tell us what you think. And remember, growth is a journey. It's all about taking small steps forward every single day. Keep pushing yourself, embrace new challenges, and never stop striving for progress. Until next time, keep growing, keep learning, and remember, you can't stop the growth.
Thanks for tuning in. If you'd like to get connected, you can find me at chadmpeterman.com. To see what our team's up to, you can visit petermanbros.com. As always, keep growing out there.